Hello once again, everybody. Welcome to episode 45 of the DrunkFriend podcast. You know how it goes by now. I'm Travis, SNES friend. That's Alex, SNES drunk. We got a cool, interesting guest coming up, but first, as we always do, we got to talk about those YouTube videos. That's what we're always doing. That's what we're always up to. You had some Toy Story.
Toy Story, yeah. Have not seen the movie in a million years. Not since like the late 90s, I think, when it first came out on VHS or something like that. I was like 13 when it came out, so I was already in my junior high, too cool for school phase where I hated all the stuff I liked as a kid, with a few exceptions, and Toy Story was kids crap, so I did end up seeing it because I do like Disney stuff. I like Lion King and Aladdin, and
Sure,
yeah. Those are good movies. But the game itself, I haven't really spent a lot of time with. But yeah, it's a classic case of like, it's like, oh, we want big detailed graphics and sprites, and we want to represent the movie really well. And yeah, that's all well and good until your sprite is giant and takes damage from everything, and the hit detection's terrible. And yeah, it's a tough game to get through for sure.
Yeah, that's a big old Woody sprite. Did you have to do that for a Patreon thing, or was this just about time to do some Toy Story?
Honestly, it's one I kind of just jotted down because I kept getting comments about it. Like, when are you going to do Toy Story? When are you going to do Toy Story? And I was like, okay, I'll do Toy Story. And the reason I was eager to dive into it is because it's one of the few Super Nintendo games that has a first-person view where you walk around inside of the claw machine trying to free all the aliens.
That's right.
And and it's just that stage, but it's like, wow, who'd have thought Toy Story has some like for a home console game, that's pretty advanced stuff.
Yeah, you don't see many Doom ripoffs for, well, I wouldn't say for kids games because the Noah's Ark game is that, but it's just an interesting, it doesn't even seem necessary, but it's kind of a cool thing about that Toy Story game.
Yeah, they really, I mean, it just goes to show they really gave a crap about that game. And then after that, I looked at some swords, and then I looked at some serpents.
At the same time.
To combine them into swords and serpents.
Nice.
It's that game just kind of, that was a Patreon request because
Sure.
I don't normally play stuff like that. And to be fair, as far as first-person dungeon crawlers go on NES, I mean, right there you're facing an uphill battle right there because that's not good times. It was better than I was expecting. But that's still not saying a whole lot. There is one thing I want to mention, though, and that's I used the nerd voice in that video right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it got a lot of, like, really positive feedback, but there were a few people that were, like, upset. Like, legitimately upset. One guy called me a jerk.
Wow. They felt called out.
Yeah, no joke. So, and one guy was like, why do you have to be so nasty about stuff you don't know? And I'm like, if you perceive that as nasty, that is a you problem, okay? Like,
man.
The reason that voice, people like it is because everybody has a little bit of that inside themselves.
Sure.
With some particular subject. Like with me, it's a lot of things, unfortunately. Like whether it's, we were just talking about 80s football cards, 90s baseball, Gary Gaetti, Greg Gagne, Dan Gladden, all those guys. But that's the whole joke, is that there's a little bit of that in everybody, where you just can't help but be pedantic about one very specific subject. And so, but some people got really upset, like,
that's
I
so
don't like
weird.
it, because I guess they heard a little bit of themselves or something, and just kind of interesting.
I mean, you're having a little bit of fun. I think that's perfectly fine. People are.
I just didn't expect that. It really took me off guard.
Yeah,
being called a jerk for using that voice.
Yeah, that's silly, because it's one of my favorite things that you bring here to the podcast when the nerd voice brings out.
I like it too. I like doing it, and I like telling people that I ripped it off from my girlfriend because it makes her upset. Because it's her voice. I just blatantly... But then again, she stole it from like a combination of The Simpsons, Futurama, Conan O'Brien, like a whole bunch of sources. So,
but yeah, no, that's right. I didn't even consider that. But yeah, that voice is inside all of us all the time. I did some Smurfs, and the reason I did, it's a PAL game, so it's not one that we got here in North America. But we're all familiar with the Smurfs, little blue dudes, cartoon that ran probably too long. They have little diapers on their heads. I don't really understand the Smurfs, if I'm being honest with you, but the game...
Smurfs were massive overseas.
Yes, indeed. And I guess that's why the game was popular there, but I was drawn to it because I was, looking at some screenshots of games. And I was like, wow, this game looks really good. I mean, it came out in '94, which is well past any point that the Smurfs were relevant. But also, I thought, well, this is probably going to be a pretty sharp NES game because it came out, 3 years after the Sega CD. It should be awesome. Not that great. It was for when it came out, all the things going for it looks good, but I don't know. I didn't really find anything special about it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's an Infogrames game, so which means that it looks pretty, but it doesn't play pretty.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So it's there's a bunch of Infogrames games. There's a couple Smurfs games on Super Nintendo. Same thing. Where like, hey, this looks good, but doesn't play so good.
It's a shame. It's a shame. I got well actually in my own comments. I don't think it was that video, but in some video I said, I have a couple shticks, and one of them is I say no bueno, and some guy was like, that doesn't even make sense if you speak Spanish. I was like, really? Putting two Spanish words together doesn't make sense to anyone who speaks Spanish? I know it's not proper Spanish.
No, you're not using the proper grammar, Trav.
I should be saying no es bueno.
It's not going to make any sense to any native Spanish speaker. You should know that by now.
It's like somebody told me it would be like saying we good doesn't make any sense in English. Like, we all get what that means. So I'm not backing down from my poor Spanish quips in my videos.
Nor should you.
I will not.
Nor should you.
Stand firm. Good. So we got the Smurfs, Toy Story, and Swords and Serpents out of the way. Thank God. Why do we do these things? Okay.
I don't know.
But we do have some emails from some fine folks. First one here is from a fella named Travis, which makes him immediately awesome.
Stop stuffing our email box with your own questions, Travis. Come on.
He said,
I know it's you.
I don't know if we're allowed to share last names here, but his last name is Wolf, which makes it way awesome.
Okay.
That reminds me of this guy I went to college with whose name was literally Johnny Flame, and that dude was just amazing.
Johnny Flame.
Name was Johnny Flame. Yeah.
He sounds like he'd be like a character in like a Mortal Kombat ripoff or something. Like,
yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Instead of Scorpion, you've got like Tarantula. Instead of Johnny Cage, you got Johnny Flame.
He was a cool guy. Yeah. I mean, he lived up to it. All right, he says, hey, friends, do either of you have any gaming anxieties? Games that you just couldn't play because those feelings were so overwhelming? For me personally, Western RPGs like the Fallout series send my anxiety through the roof. I hate being asked to specialize a character before I even know how the game plays, so when I'm forced to choose attributes and perks at the very beginning, I just sort of blue screen and go back to playing Madden and listening to audiobooks. It sucks, because I really want to enjoy the Outer Worlds. Anyways, thanks for everything you guys do. Your content has helped me a lot in my non-gaming related anxieties, of which there are many. Best, Travis. P.S. For Alex, Spurgeon win. Spurgeon? Spurgeon. He got drafted by the Browns, I think. That's a callback.
Yeah, he might be the worst quarterback of my lifetime that I've ever seen play.
Wow,
he was really aggressively bad. I mean, you got to try to be that bad. He was terrible. I mean, Joe Webb was pretty bad too in that playoff game, and Christian Ponder wasn't that good.
What are the Browns for? If not drafting terrible quarterbacks, Thank God for the Browns.
Well, they got Baker's pretty good.
Yeah,
now,
that's true.
So
that's a good point.
But yeah, no, I totally relate to this comment because I'm in the same boat. Like, why? I don't know what I'm doing when I'm picking out personality traits and all this other crap before I know what I get myself into. Before I know like what is going to be considered important and what's not going to be considered important. It's like. So I share those anxieties, I guess, is what I mean. Yeah, so I would much rather. It's kind of like Shadow. I remember the first time I played. Was it Shadowrun? No, I'm thinking of Soldiers of Fortune, where you pick certain characters and you think certain skills are more important than they are, and then you get a game over in like 5 minutes. It's like, well, that's no good. But it's I do have those gaming anxieties for sure. The same thing happens with like any RTS game, like any Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, Rise of Nations, anything like that. It's like, should I be building houses right now? Or should I be, what resource should I go after? And then like the army is like right at my doorstep kicking my ass. It's like, yeah. So sometimes you got to learn the hard way. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I get overwhelmed in those games too. I have to just kind of go into wing it mode when it comes to creating a character and just be like, I guess I'll do this and I guess I'll do that. We'll see.
Your inner monologue is Keanu voice.
Yeah. What am I doing? Whoa.
What am I doing? Where am I? Whoa.
Yeah. I just watched Johnny Mnemonic the other day, and that movie I did not enjoy.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard it looks cool.
Yeah, I know. It's like Matrix, or the Matrix for teens.
Isn't the Matrix already for teens?
I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. For preteens, then. The scary game, the ones that are supposed to give you anxieties definitely do. That's why I play those with a buddy on the same couch. That way we can hug each other if it gets too real.
Yeah, those are not fun. Yeah, it's especially Pearl loves to play horror games, and she will scream sometimes, and it scares the dogs, and they run up and they hide behind me while she's playing. So yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, thank you, Travis, for the nice email.
Next, we got T Funk.
All right.
Hi, drunk friend. I really enjoy the content that both of you provide with your videos and the discussions that you have on the Drunk Friend podcast. On episode 42, Alex stated his love for Mystery Science Theater 3000 and bad movies, games, and music. You often hear the phrase, it's so bad it's good for movies, that all the wrong choices come together in a way to make something enjoyable. For example, Space Mutiny. I wonder if other forms of media, particularly video games, can transcend to the so bad it's good realm. What are your respective console so bad it's good game picks, if any? Or what could be qualifiers that make a game so bad it's good? Trav?
I have to do a bit of a cop-out and say I find the so bad it's good really works when James Rolfe has made fun of it to the point that I've giggled about it.
Yeah.
I don't find those games particularly enjoying to play, but if someone takes the time to make fun of them, I enjoy them more. So I have a soft spot for a lot of the games he's covered just based on his episodes. I did buy Action 52 as part of my collection, which is a notorious 52 game compilation of awful games, and I do enjoy showing that to people sometimes as sort of a like, check out this shit.
I just remember it's when James Rolfe goes another reusing characters. Here we run into Boob Lady and Saddam Hussein. So anytime I think of Action 52, I think of that.
Exactly, yeah. And I do have some enjoyment of being like, check out this thing I have in my collection and showing it off. And that's kind of a so bad it's worth showing people. So I think that qualifies. But I really, if a game is notoriously bad, I don't really enjoy it myself playing it.
Yeah, for me, that's definitely true for me too. But for me, it's a lot of the full motion video stuff. A lot of the early full motion video stuff is super cheesy and dorky, and sometimes in an endearing way. There was a game that I think I've told this story before, but there was a game my dad bought for it couldn't have been more than $5 out of the what do you call it?
Bargain bin?
Discount bin. Yeah, bargain bin in CompUSA. And it was called Mabus. And you can Google this game. It's spelled Maabus. And it's got lots of really hammed up, over-the-top acting and performances. And it's a really bad game. My dad was really proud of finding it because it was like 3 CDs. And he's like, oh, look, you get 3 discs with this game. It must be great. And I tried playing it, and it's so confusing, and I have no idea what to do or where to go. The controls suck. You're getting attacked from all angles. You play this tank, and you're supposed to, I guess this island got nuked, and as a result, all these like hideous monsters are being spawned there or something. So you get dropped in a tank out of a helicopter and land on this island and drive around first person style in a tank trying to blow up these monsters while disengaging some sort of like nuclear thing. So yeah, as a game it's horrible, but you've got this general ordering you around, and he hams it up big time. I think he knew this game sucked, so he went all in, like screaming passionately, like at the camera and stuff like that. You've got to get out of there, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, these screenshots are amazing.
Yeah, it's very 1995. Yeah. It's for PC. There was another game that Tim Curry was in, another PC game, or maybe it was Sega CD, that he played like some sort of scientist or something, and he really hams it up too.
Wasn't it Frankenstein or something like that? I kind of remember that.
Yeah, some sort of Frankenstein thing. I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly, but he was great in that. Let me look it up actually real quick.
We got to get that
live
SNES drunk of
action
Mavis. That's what we need, or a Let's Play or something.
Mavis. Oh boy, I don't know about that. That game is rough. Yeah, Frankenstein Through the Eyes of the Monster. Oh, and he also played Long John Silver on Muppet Treasure Island.
Hell yeah.
Oh, here's the game I'm thinking of. It's Command and Conquer.
Oh, right. He's on
Red
the cover,
Alert 3,
I think.
where he Yeah. Red Alert 3. God, I never got into that one. I got into the first 2 Red Alerts, but I never got the third one, and I'm suffering for it because I didn't realize it had Tim Curry.
Man,
But,
that's some good trivia. Like, Tim Curry's on multiple PC game covers. Who would have thought?
Yeah, of all people, Tim Curry, the guy from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Very, very strange.
Huh. That's pretty cool. Yep, I guess those qualify. So bad, they're good. All right. Up next, we got an email from Michael Wilson, who also goes by Michael Wilbon, apparently, which is fun.
We've read an email from him before, and I called him Michael Wilbon for some reason.
Right. You would. He says, hey guys, if you had to choose a Beast Wars Transformer to be, who would you choose? Thanks for reading and keep up the awesome work. Thank you, Michael, quote-unquote, Wilbon. And he also says, P.S., if you don't know much about Beast Wars and want a simple overlook of the characters, feel free to check out a webpage I made that displays them. And boy, I don't know anything about Beast Wars, so I clicked the shit out of that page, and these are hilarious.
Yeah, it's speaking of mid-90s CG, these look like they were pulled straight from Mavis.
Yes, they do.
Because it's pretty untextured, very, very reboot-looking things. I just remember I don't remember much about Beast Wars. I remember it being a somewhat interesting show, but there was a commercial for it that would play, and this was like mid 90s when I would try to watch like Darkwing Duck or something like that, and a commercial for Beast Wars would come on, and this raptor dude, I guess he's like evil, it might be Dinobot in fact, on this page, and he has this odd way of speaking where he says in the commercial, I prefer to defeat my opponents the old-fashioned way. And I'm like, what did he say? Did he say rotate? What are they playing, volleyball? Like, I don't understand what he said. Turns out he says brutally. Brutally! He tries to like lay on that, mid-Atlantic accent for some reason. But I always thought he said something like rotate. Like they're playing volleyball against each other and they need to like rotate their players.
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know.
Beast Wars volleyball, why is that not a game? That'd be great.
At least Beast Wars golf.
Yeah.
I mean,
give me something.
Yeah. No, Beast Wars, not very strong opinions on that, but I was
going to say I like some of the things that he's got in here. Like I don't know anything about the show, so the fact that Tigatron is a backup spy, like I don't even know what that means. Like you're the first one got caught and then they just send you in. I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, in the meantime, he's just sitting there holding the clipboard.
Yeah.
Like, just waiting to come in.
Yeah, he rips off his warm-ups and jumps into the spy action.
He doesn't get any reps with the first-string spies. Yeah. He only practices with the practice squad spies.
Yeah.
So he's a bit rusty, but he's there if you need him.
Yeah, I love it.
He's got, like, a weird jersey number, like number 19 or something like that. I don't know why I'm going full football with this, but
who's your choice? What are you going to be?
I'm going to be the guy with the mid-Atlantic accent. I want to be who I think it is. I think it's Dinobot.
Okay, so your personality is honorable. That's good, but you're second in command.
That's okay.
That's all right.
I'm like Damar in Deep Space Nine. I'm gonna take over eventually.
Cool. I think I would have gone with Dinobot because my daughter likes dinosaurs, so I might be forced to go with Megatron, but it seems like I don't know, like a choice where you think you're all that, because now I'm the Predacon leader, whatever that means. And my personality is maniacal. You gotta love that. I'm unpredictable.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. First thing I think of with Trav is he is just what a maniacal SOB that guy is. He's all over the place, all over the map.
Maniacal SOB. That's what they say about me.
Unstable. I like how Quick Strike's personality is just described as loud.
I saw that. I'm like, how does a scorpion / cobra make any noise?
he's the Spinal Tap of Beast Wars. He's one of the loudest scorpions / cobras in England. And I also like Rampage. He's a red king crab, and he's insane. So that's cool.
Oh, I guess I found who I am. I'm Inferno. I'm a fire ant, and I'm obnoxious.
Obnoxious. I saw that one too.
That's me.
I like the mad scientist tarantula too. He looks like something out of Mavis, with the color scheme, the purple and the green and yellow. Yeah, the garish colors for sure.
Sorry, folks, that we're describing things you can't see, and the URL's too long and complicated for us to link. Yeah, maybe we'll link it in the show description. I don't see any harm in that.
Yeah, that could work.
All right. Well, coming up next, we got a pretty interesting guy that, a couple episodes ago when we had Johnny Ethko on, I was in full gush mode. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I didn't think it could happen to Alex, but I think we met Alex's gush-worthy guest.
Yeah, Forgotten VCR. He's got his own Twitch channel. He has a massive videotape collection, and he makes VHS mixtapes by editing together bizarre and hilarious clips into a series of compilations, basically. The thing is that he edits everything using linear tape, or I should say linear tape-to-tape technology from the late 90s. So he won't use it if it's not on a videotape. He doesn't cheat by going to YouTube or using DVDs or anything like that. And he streams his finished product through his VCR onto his Twitch stream. And you'll see everything. The kind of stuff he shows is everything from pro wrestling to kung fu to giant robots to even more kung fu. Lots of kung fu. He throws some like weird commercials in there, anime, and just clips from strange, forgotten movies. And me being a huge Mystery Science Theater fan, that is totally way up my alley. Love that channel. He streams on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And he's a really good guest. He's an excellent speaker. We hope you enjoy it.
All right, Mr. VCR, thanks so much for stopping by tonight. Hopefully you're doing well. Can't wait to get to the bottom of whatever this is. I feel like Alex and I are the FBI, and we're like, we got to talk about this, man. What's going on? What's been going on out there?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really awesome to have you because normally when we start these podcasts, we're already told, we've already told the audience what the guest does and all that. But I think even after that, it's still really kind of hard to describe what your Twitch stream is. And I believe me, I mean that in the best possible way because it's so entertaining and so much fun to watch. So when you talk about your Twitch channel to someone that doesn't know about it, how do you describe it to somebody?
Well, I come from a film background, and I have a lot of appreciation for how films are made. I especially love like tropes and sort of stereotypical elements, and I like finding patterns in media in general. And film is a really interesting medium to find patterns in, and one of the tropiest genres of film I have ever stumbled across is martial arts.
Of course.
It is the most repetitive, and I mean this in the best way possible. It's so repetitive and it's so reliable in what's going to happen and in what you should expect from the thematic elements. And because of that, you get these wonderful opportunities to kind of go against an audience's expectations. So within the context of what I do is I watch a lot of VHS tapes just in my free time. I do video editing, and I'm also a college professor, so I do a lot of, especially in COVID times, I do a lot of sitting in front of a computer. And so I always just have like a TV and a VCR next to me, and I put in tapes that either I've bought recently or that I've had, for a long time. And I started finding just cool patterns, right? Like, I noticed that in a lot of the ninja movies there's a scene where someone runs up a hill and yells ninja. Like, that happens in 6 or 7 of them, and it's not always the same character even. Yep. And so I started sort of compiling these together, and I realized that if you sort of compiled a compilation of these scenes with little like bumps or I use video distributor logos as my sort of like palette cleanser between the sequences.
Sure, yeah.
You can sort of create a fake narrative. And you can do
Yes.
that because so many things are the same in these movies. And so you can almost interchange different sequences from like movies made years apart, but thematically it still works. Aesthetically it still works. I make a joke a lot about Hong Kong blue. There's something about Hong Kong movies from the 80s and 90s where they just have this blue wash to them for some reason.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is construct a fake narrative from compiling together similar footage from similar distributors, directors, and time period.
Yeah, that brings me to my next question, which is like that you usually start each tape with the same clips. With you got Jack Ready, you got Merry Correspondence, you got the series of piracy warnings. But I admit I haven't seen most of your tapes. I've only seen like I want to say like from 40 onward.
Okay.
And you just did 61 the other day. But do you keep some of those I was just going to say, you keep those clips in there just to keep a sense of familiarity for the audience, or maybe as a kind of your own personal imprint on each mixtape, or how does that work for you?
So I don't want it to turn into everyone feeding me ideas, because that then sort of removes what I think makes, because I don't own any of this stuff. None of this is mine. The thing that is mine is the way I put it together.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I'm very kind of controlling about that sort of stuff, and I'll even tell people in the Discord, like, thank you, but no thank you. Like, I don't I don't want your clips. I don't want your input. This is my collection of movies that I want to watch. I don't necessarily buy stuff because I want to use it. I buy it because I'm interested in that film anyway, and if there's something cool in there, oh, well, that's like just, that's butter. But I think that really what started, the reason why this format became what it became is because certain audience members really latched on to clips I would use. And whenever I play a clip that, I don't know, that resonates with people, or that they talk about even when the clip isn't playing, I know that I have to try to find more stuff like that.
Sure.
And that's the kind of give and take, I suppose. Like, I use a clip of this character named Hanuman, and he's
I'm not Hanuman. Oh no.
He's centuries old. Like, he's, in fact, the pose that he does when he has his hands in the air and he flies across the air, that is referencing a historical or a mythological tale where he carries this island with a cure for a disease to these diseased people. Like, he's this heroic, wonderful person. But in the context of the movies that I use,
Hanuman is terrifying.
He's really terrifying in these movies. It's a particular distributor that makes these Hanuman movies, and they make him just vile and disgusting and violent for some reason. And there's something about it that just resonated with people. And so I realized I have to use more footage of this. I have to find a way to tie it in. That's the interactive part.
Yeah, you talk about like recurring jokes and running gags and that sort of thing, but like I really like what you do when some guy gets thrown into the water, you always, or not you, I shouldn't say you always, but you
No, I usually do.
Yeah, you cut to the seaside in the Twilight clip with the boat. And or when someone wins a fight, you play "You Are the Champ."
If they won very effectively,
way.
yes, very much so, yes.
Yeah, so I gotta imagine that's something that keeps you going when it comes to these mixtapes, working in creative ways. Is that like on purpose? Like you keep making those edits like for that purpose?
Well, it's fun because then you can play off of people's expectations. Like, they'll expect a certain
exactly.
clip to happen, and then you can... So I think that there's a time that I use the Champ clip where halfway through it, I stop it, and a character starts going like, wait, and then like it moves into something else. And so you can sort of like, you can mess with people's expectations in that way, which is, if you think about it, it's like messing with people's expectations twice. Because already they're watching what they think is a martial arts film, and then someone says or does something absolutely off character, or my whole thing is, I think that part of why some of these clips work is because there's a genuine earnestness to the production. these people, it's why The Room is appealing to people. You know, there's like Sharknado and all those kinds of movies, and yeah, haha, those are great. But The Room was made by someone who thought he was making something really good.
Yes, exactly.
And there's something tragically awesome about it. And I feel the same way about bad martial arts films, and especially films from Hong Kong in the 80s and 90s, because they're trying to emulate Hollywood, but in a weird way, by failing to do that, they're actually making something way cooler than what we could have ever made. And so it all just sort of folds in on itself when now in 2021, some dude in his 30s is just like profiling the best bits like a few days a week.
And thank God that involves Reb Brown many times, because Reb Brown.
I have to use Reb Brown.
Oh, you got to use Reb Brown. He, for those listeners that don't know, he is the Space Mutiny guy from Mystery Science Theater, and that brings me to the next question. Is like you're clearly a big Mystery Science Theater fan, I would have to imagine.
Oh, sure.
Which means that you can't use both Mystery Science Theater and riff tracks or like film crew or any of that stuff just by personal principle or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, I do. So the whole thing is I never expected people to give me money for this. Like, I do video editing because it's fun, and obviously I do it as a side career and whatnot, but this whole thing was just like a fun experiment. And when I started getting like support and people were telling me to do more and make more and do one a week and like make intros and make the intros a half hour, and I never really thought that people would I didn't think people would be so invested in it. So now that they are, I really do have this rule about making things mine. Like, I don't want you in my stream giving me money if I'm just replaying something that I didn't touch. You know what I mean? I didn't edit it. I didn't do something to it. And so, yeah, that's kind of been, I don't know if that exactly answers it, but that's sort of what I've been working toward.
But I just wanted to touch on the fact that, like, I just wanted to fanboy for a second, like, you're a Mystery Science Theater fan, because I grew up as a Joel fan way back in the early 90s.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen that stuff, and I know my audience, and you don't want to see the same stuff you've already seen. That's
exactly.
That's lazy. And then that way also, in the same way, I can then point you to... So, you know, for example, one of the characters that I use is Silver Hypnotics. Silver Hypnotics is a well-known shitty tape. Like, it's in some of the Everything is Terrible tapes from years ago. And me using him is sort of like me saying, like, hey, tape nerds, remember this guy? I know who this guy is. And so sometimes I'll drop clips in to let people know that, like, yeah, well, like, we're all part of this big, stupid, bad media community. But at the same time, yeah, I don't want to use clips from things that you're already consuming. I love Red Letter Media, but we have some similar tastes. And there have been times where I've used clips that then weeks later end up on a Red Letter Media video. And it's not related at all, but then immediately I want to edit it out.
Yeah, there you go. Because it's like...
It's not mine.
You want it, it's not yours anymore. It belongs to everybody else.
And they do a way better job making fun of things. Like, I just use clips out of context for humorous effect. They get amazingly wasted and end up having some incredibly thought-provoking ideas about terrible movies. So they can have it.
So I'm trying to piece this together. So Alex was obviously much more involved in your streams and whatnot than me. I was introduced to you in the wee hours sometime last week. He's like, dude, you got to check this out. We're talking to this guy next week. And I was like, okay, all right. And I've spent a week trying to figure it all out. And I have to admit, after, what are we at, 12 minutes of talking about it, I'm still a little bit lost, but I'm hanging in there. So you're kind of like you're a VCR, I don't know, I'm like a DJ, like an esoteric tape jockey kind of thing.
You know, the VCR thing is so not even important anymore.
No.
To what I do. It's kind of like a gimmick almost now. I will say, though, I like having a piece of gear that does something. You know, instead of everything being through my computer, it's like an apparatus that I can control with a remote.
You've got some mechanical stuff there, that like some real stuff. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not computerized. I gotcha.
it's the other sort of thing about me giving you something, because
Right.
the way I always factored it in was, why wouldn't I just post this on YouTube? I mean, the interactivity is a really big part of it, which is why I don't just post things on YouTube. But if the delivery system, if you know that it's a VHS tape through a VCR, and there's going to be little fuck ups, and the tracking is going to mess up, and yeah, I mean, there's a bit of I don't like using the word authenticity because that's so fucking stupid right now, because nothing's authentic, but it's real. It's a tangible thing, and I think it's better
Yes.
than watching a stream where you see like the little like iMovie like play menu pop up and they hit play. Nothing depresses me more than that. Like, oh, we're just watching a screen capture of your laptop. Okay.
I have to ask too, because you said you were a professor. It does what
Yeah.
you teach? Is that film related? Is that related to, maybe not specifically to what you do on your stream, but I mean, is it film related?
Yeah, so I teach classes in film, and I also teach classes in sort of like what we would call like personal branding and like content creation. Basically, I help with video and film in the artistic sort of context, as well as in the how can you make your Instagram video look better.
And do the things that you do, I mean, some of the tropes and that kind of thing, like maybe film theory, does the hobby side of life, does it overlap a lot with what you teach at all?
Oh, 100. Like, one of my mods, probably the most dedicated mod I have, James, this guy, the opponent, he also has a film background. And so one of the tropes that I like in martial arts films is the obsession with drugs. And not doing drugs, but buying them and then gaining power through the purchasing and selling of them. And it's a subplot in all of these movies that people are selling drugs.
Is he the guy that does the pie chart?
Yes. Yes. He has an elaborate pie chart he's constructed of every drug transaction in the movies I've used. And the pie chart is broken down on their varying levels of success or failure. Hang on, here. Let me just grab it.
Yeah, he posted an updated one the other day, and it was,
Oh, yeah.
it
Oh,
just
that's right. He updated it.
killed me. Oh my god, it's the funniest thing ever, because it's like it breaks it down like very specifically. Like, okay, this transaction fell apart. This one worked. This one didn't. This one fell into gunfire.
Outcomes of in-person large money transactions. We got raid by police, raid by ninjas. No, so the point I'm trying to get at is that I think that film, coming from a film background, it does teach you to sort of deconstruct film in a way that's enjoyable, right? I mean, I don't think I appreciate film in the same way other audiences do. And that's not like a hoity-toity, like, oh, I appreciate them. But, like, I do think that I probably see them differently. I actually think that an uninitiated, like, film-educated audience probably enjoys movies more. But there's something about film education that leads you to just pick things apart and look for patterns and sort of obsess over those patterns. So yeah, I think that a lot of my film background does kind of bleed into the stream. I'm constantly dropping film-related things that I think are common knowledge that I'm discovering or not. Like the 180-degree rule.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so, all right, so in a movie, if I am filming you from the right-hand side and you're looking at me and you're talking to me, right? And if I then flip the camera and have it so the 180-degree line, if you cross it, it'll look like two people are on the same side talking against each other as opposed to towards one another.
Right.
It's honestly, it's something that if you've watched movies, you won't fuck this up. But it happens in martial arts films.
Yes, it does.
So often where, well, actually in one of the clips that I use every mixtape where, Harry's wife moves the curtain aside and then the Halloween decorations are there. And it says, challenge
what those
devils.
are?
That's what I like to say they are. I don't know what they are. It's like a skull, but it looks like a cardboard like Halloween decoration.
It really does look like Christmas decorations or something. Yeah.
Well, and so she yells off screen to the right. Where does Harry appear? The left. It looks like he appears like it doesn't make sense spatially.
And Harry's just like,
Well, and so you spend film school being told there's a cinematic language. There's a reason why people do things a certain way. And when you then watch these movies and you learn that they're all made by a similar pool of directors and filmmakers, and they all get everything wrong. Like they just don't care. It's just there's no real concern about it almost. And there's something very appealing about that. Like there's it's that weird earnestness where it's like, fuck audio. I want to watch ninjas fight. And like that's what they're emphasizing.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, that's what I've learned from your mixtapes is just like, hey, here's some guys. Here's some bad dubbing. Here's these dudes that just want to fight. So let's fight. Let's go. Come on, fight. And I love that. So yeah. Right on.
No, it's
I appreciate that very much.
it's a good time. The only thing is that when people then go and look into these films, because I'll use one or two scenes from the movies, and people will be like, "What is this?" And I'll go, "Oh, this is called Ninja of the Magnificence," which is a real title. And they're like, "Oh, wow, that's awesome." And then they get back to me and go, "Hey, there's 2 rape scenes and they kill a snake on screen." And you're like, "Yeah, that's Hong Kong cinema from the late 70s. I don't use those clips.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I've actually had people tell me, I don't actually go into your movie list anymore because I've stumbled across some things in these movies I don't care for.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's unfortunately that genre.
Pass.
Yeah.
Pass. No thanks.
Yeah.
So I dilute all of that out.
I'm honestly thankful for that because
Yeah.
it makes your stream that much more fun. It just becomes more fun. I don't want to see that crap. When I'm, when that, some filmmaker's idea of what he thinks is art.
I do wish I could show the consensual sex scenes, though, because they are absolutely hilarious.
Well, like The Room has some hilariously stupid consensual sex scenes, which is, everybody should see those just to, as a practice of safe sex for anything else. It's absurd, but yeah. Travis, have you seen The Room?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah. Who hasn't at this point? It's become so mean.
I mean, what did you think? Well, what are your thoughts on it? What did you think of it?
I don't know. I just really tried not to. I laughed at it more because I was in on the why it was
You tried
bad.
not to see it?
Well, I knew before going in that it was bad. I wasn't surprised by it like maybe some people were when it first came out. Mm-hmm. It was already like a joke. And I watched it and I was like, haha, indeed.
Why does that movie break my heart and I don't laugh at it like everyone else does? This is going to sound weird, but I really do.
No, it's that guy is earnest. Earnestness breaks my heart too, but the thing is that earnestness has a breaking point for me personally where it just goes beyond a certain threshold where it's just like high mark, it's just like once you reach that high mark point, I guess you call it the high mark point.
Or a low mark.
Instead of a watershed point.
Yeah.
It's the high mark point.
Yeah, it's there's just something about that film where you feel like, so if art or film is the extension of who a person is and the story they want to tell about themselves, this guy clearly had a bad relationship that did not end well, right? And then in the movie, he's like, like he's friends with the most handsome people. And it's like, that's what he wants out of life. Like, that's what he wishes I always watch The Room, and it's like, this is what Tommy Wiseau, wishes his life was like. I don't know. It always makes me a little sad.
It's a lot of tossing the football around. That's not too bad.
No,
a lot of pigskin tossing.
On the top of a building for some reason, yeah.
I mean, that's fun.
Let's be fair. They never filmed anything on top of a building. Did you know that he literally spent thousands of dollars to film on a green screen on the ground and make it look like a roof?
Oh my God.
Classic Tommy. Classic.
He shot that film in digital and film simultaneously. He literally taped 2 cameras together.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. It's a fascinating film.
It really is. It really is. I wish. Yeah.
Well,
I wish they would tell you that, but anyway.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Trav. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, speaking of films and tapes, trying to do a segue, but didn't really work. You have you mentioned you use videotapes, which probably means you're not digging into the DVD bins. You're not looking for anything on YouTube or, as you mentioned earlier, anything where you can see a laptop screen, so to speak. So are there any tapes or movies out there in particular that you'd eventually like to get your hands on to use in a mixtape, but they're hard to find? Or is there any white whales out there for you?
One. So I just got a white whale.
Oh, nice.
There's this movie called Incident at... Hang on, let me make sure I have the title correct. I saw it at a punk film festival years ago, and it was an old movie even at that time. Incident at Channel Q. So this is a movie from 1985. It is a huge ripoff. Well, I don't know which came first, but it's very similar to Pump Up the Volume. I'm trying to think when that came out. You remember that movie?
That would have been 1990, I think.
Let me see. Yeah, 90. And that's 1990. All right, so this is it's Pump Up the Volume-esque, but it's about a kid who takes over a radio station and plays heavy metal music. And the movie is filled with all of these direct-to-the-camera, you parents think you know us, and I just can't fucking wait. I haven't seen this thing in years. All that's on YouTube is a 2-minute trailer of it, and I just randomly stumbled across this and remembered it and got it. So that was one. I mean, there are... I'm trying to think if there's... Honestly, what I'm more looking for now is artwork. Specific editions of movies that I have that are the older versions of it with better box art. Yeah.
That's kind of how I am with my Super Nintendo stuff, where I just want some cool looking box art, or my Genesis cartridges. Just give me the Gunstar Heroes stuff with the Japanese box art or something. I don't know. But anyway, no, that's really cool. What was the movie you just showed the other day that was...
I should say, and I just used it in a mixtape, I was looking for American Commando 3 Savage Temptation for the better part of a year.
What a great name for a movie, by the way.
Holy shit, this movie. So this has Pierre Kirby in it, who, if you're not familiar, Pierre Kirby just went missing one day, and no one knows whatever happened to him. And he's in a bunch of these IFD martial arts films. But the reason why I wanted this movie is because on the front of the box and on the back, it shows a gang of guys wearing children's Gundam masks. And they're all in a minivan about to rob somebody. And
that's right.
I have to have that.
Their masks don't fit properly. They're all
kids' masks.
Scrunched to their face. Yeah.
That's the best part. I look for little details like that. Whenever somebody adjusts their helmet or their or a part of their costume falls off, or I live for that sort of stuff. I adore it. It just is very endearing to me.
It's too funny. Yeah. No, that was part of 61, I think, right? Where it was...
Yes, that was one that I bought specifically for tape 60 and then forgot about it and then watched it later and was like, "Oh wow."
What is with kung fu movies, these movies that take place, they have action sequences on bridges?
Yes.
And they all, is it just a convenient way to get rid of people? Get rid of characters where they fly over the edge, or
that could be. I will say though that if you fight on a bridge and no one goes over that bridge, you're going to disappoint your audience.
That's true. That's a good point.
And that has happened where they fight on a bridge and no one goes over. I don't know. There's it depends on the distributor, right? So you can look at general tropes of martial arts films, and I'd agree. Similar to Westerns, there's a standoff, and they do often occur on bridges. But when you start getting into directors and distributors, and you get into IFD and Ocean Shores, and everything they made was made in this one section of Kowloon, and you can literally, people in my Discord have gone on Google Maps and been oh, that's the hill where Harry kills Stuart. And here's the amusement park where in American Commando Ninja where that dude gets killed in the rappel accident. And like all these places were, all these movies were all made in this like 6-mile radius.
Wow.
There's a gazebo that's in all of these ninja movies, and it's the same fucking gazebo in every single one.
I was gonna say,
awesome.
it seems like the same frickin' bridge in all these movies.
It's a park in Kowloon. It's like, we just jokingly call it Kowloon Park. Like, we don't know what it is, but we joke that they shot there because they didn't have to get permits.
So for people that don't know, though, like, what is IFD? What is Seaside or not Seaside, but what is it called? Oceanside. Sorry. What are those things for
They
people
are
that don't know?
Film distributors. And in the 1980s, and actually, I think that the Red Letter Media talks about this a little bit, but what you would do is you could really deceive your audience. It's sort of like the physical equivalent of clickbait, where if you have a really cool cover and, you know, a cool title, which of course you've changed the title from whatever it originally was, you know, and you edit these things together, you don't have to have a big marketing budget. People will buy them for their rental stores purely based on the artwork that, you know, I mean, look at Atari games. It's a really good example of, here's a turd, but we have this beautiful work of art to represent what we think this looks like, or what we think. Of
course.
And so IFD, Ocean Shores, there's a series of distributors that basically realized that they could take films from China, Hong Kong, Korea, Thailand, the Philippines, redub them, oftentimes completely eliminating what the original plot was, and then cut in new footage with American actors dressed up like ninjas and try to patchwork these movies together. And really, if I'm being all George Lucas-y here, that's sort of what I'm doing with my mixtapes, is I'm taking a bunch of shit that isn't supposed to fit together, and I'm trying to patchwork it together into an hour-long narrative.
So you got a bunch of explosions with like rings around them and stuff like that. Is that what you're saying?
The George Lucas
I got
effect.
final forms.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, but yeah. So it was a cheap way to make a film and trick people into renting it or buying it. But then there were some people in the late 90s that grew a sort of affinity for these movies. I mean, I usually credit it to Hexstatic, and I'm trying to think of the other Ninja Tune. There was a series of like electronic artists that were on this label called Ninja Tune, and they were editing in ninja movies a lot. And that was my first realization of like, oh, there's a bunch of like shitty ninja movies from the 80s I should look into. And at that time, like, you could get them for nothing. Like, there was a record store I used to go to where they had VHS tapes, and that's where I bought most of mine, for like a few dollars. But now they're all available on YouTube. Almost everything I use is available on YouTube, with the exception of like some of the rarer things. But that's why we have the list. I want people to watch these in their full context, not just see the like made up context that I've created for them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what's the white whale for you? Like, what are you trying to get that you haven't gotten yet?
I don't know. I mean, I have to say that like everything is pretty much available to me if I want it, but I have to say that I would love to find a movie that is from one of these distributors or directors that people haven't connected back to yet. Which does happen. In fact, someone in my Discord just told me the other day that somebody found a movie that's like a lost Godfrey Ho film. And they just found it on VHS. Kenny Lauderdale with anime has stumbled across like incredibly rare anime that had been lost. So I think a white whale for me would be a movie that you can find no trace of, and I'd be able to sort of put that back out so that it would be available. I would love to do that. I can't say that I've ever really found anything that is like just lost media, you know?
Yeah.
I'd like to contribute in some way like that, probably.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be a whole Indiana Jones thing. That'd be pretty sweet. But I mean, not
Well,
the
I mean,
movie.
there's
just the.
There's a lot of. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but Flemish Dog is an Australian, and it's so funny because in like in my circle, Flemish Dog is like the final boss. He's been uploading things to archive.org for like a decade, and if you've ever seen like a vaporwave music video or like some piece of footage with like Japanese commercials or anything, there's like a 90% chance it's one of his uploads. And I've always really been impressed by that like he just like, he'll buy all these tapes from Japan and just upload every single bit of it. And then people can build new things out of it. So I think that's something like beneficial. We're stealing media for our own gain. So maybe like a way to sort of like make that better is to sort of like, freedom of information in a way.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, it sounds like you're a huge collector of these things. What's that collection like? How much room does that take up? When did it start, kind of thing?
I've had tapes forever, and I just never got rid of them because, I don't know, I just never really got rid of them. I just, I'm not a hoarder, okay, so don't assume that.
No.
But but I was able to keep tapes at my parents' house after I moved out. So I remember somebody bought me something kind of rare on VHS. I don't remember what it was. And I was like, hey, I have a lot of tapes back at my parents' house. And then in going through the stuff at my parents' house, I realized, like, holy shit, like, I have this, like, whole collection that suddenly is relevant again. This is maybe, like, 10 or 12 years ago. And then I just started collecting more hardcore around that time and really trying to track down, like, trying to get, like, complete collections of, like, Tai Seng tapes. Or I'm currently trying to track down all of the Shaolin Dolomite collection martial arts tapes, which are just a bunch of kung fu movies introduced by Rudy Ray Moore for no reason. He's on the cover too.
I was gonna
for
say,
no reason, he's on the fucking cover.
Didn't you introduce one of those the other day? Where
it's a movie I've been looking for forever called
Yeah.
Mission Kiss and Kill, which is a badass title. And I'll just read this. Babyface.
That was just that was just the other day, I think, where it was just like, what the hell is this guy doing here?
Yeah, this is the Babyface assassin versus the Basket Head assassin gang.
Oh.
And that's why I need it. So anyway, I finally found a copy of it, but it's got Rudy Ray Moore taking up like 60%. I'll show it on the stream tomorrow. But
so in your collection, which is sizable, it sounds like, I know these VHS tapes, they don't have an infinite lifespan. Are you finding, how often do you find some that are worn out, and how much of a concern is that for you?
It is a big concern, actually. Whenever I buy a tape so generally I buy tapes through the mail off of Yahoo listings or eBay. Sometimes, and this is a little hint, and this is true with like every collectible, you should always go on Etsy, because people who are selling like, custom birthday cake candles, they're probably selling their kids' video games along with it, and they don't know what they're worth. And so I'm just saying, when you're searching for things, you should always go on Etsy. I know it's probably not going to be there, but it might, and it might be there for like next to nothing. But I always message the seller and say, ship this to me in a box. Because if you ship me a tape in a mailer bag,
no thanks.
You're going to send me you're sending me a cardboard sleeve with plastic shards in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had to do a lot of tape surgery, and it sucks to do that because the inside of a VHS tape is full of like springs and levers and like it's more complicated than you would think.
No joke. Yeah.
So I replace spools sometimes. I actually got there's a tape that I had been looking for a while, and it arrived just smashed. But as long as the magnetic tape is okay, I can switch that out. Actually, I'll probably do a stream sometime where I switch it out. I just don't know if I want the pressure. I don't want the pressure of people like watching me do it, so I might not. I might make it like a YouTube video.
I don't get how people do that. That's a thing that people do with like there's a fellow I know from Australia that does that, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to repair this Game Boy Advance. I'm going to replace the screen with a backlit screen." I'm like, how can you do that with an audience, dude? Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Probably be better for a YouTube video.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
No, but you know what's worse? So if a tape breaks, that's really not that big a deal. Like, it's time consuming, it's annoying, but I can fix it.
It doesn't ruin the rest of it, yeah.
If the label is a sticker, I can hit it with a hairdryer, remove it, put it on a new tape. You have no idea I've switched the tapes, right? The big problem is mold. That's the biggest problem I run into, because cleaning a tape with mold is, well, first of all, no one's really figured out a perfect way to do it. I have sacrificial VCRs that are mold VCRs. Like, I want to get a biohazard sticker and put it on it. So I just remember, like, this is not a spare VCR. This is the VCR that you play moldy tapes in.
That was my next question, is what is your go-to VCR? Is it a Panasonic? Is it a Sony? Like, what are you going to?
So for my use, I really like this Sony SLV is what it is. And there's a whole series of SLVs. Everyone wants the really old, cool VCR. Don't do that, because it's going to eat your tapes, and it's not going to be very optimized.
Right.
What you need to get is a really late model VCR that has manual tracking, and you're good to go. That's really like all you have to worry about, because they perfected it at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I don't ever get stuff eaten in that. The VCR I use for the stream, I purposefully use a sort of shitty Toshiba because I found that it bleeds the color a little bit, and I really like how it looks.
Yeah, well, it's gonna look it's gonna look a certain way, and I really like how your stream looks at that point, and I think a lot of your audience looks at that point too. And I wanted to ask you about that too. Your audience, like, did you think that was going to be a thing when you started your Twitch stream? Because the audience has become such a huge part of your stream, and it's been such a fun thing that's just like, holy shit, like, all these people are like chanting along with all the all the stuff. It's so cool.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say that doesn't make me sound like, oh, well, you know.
You sound like James Hetfield, like, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't really, like, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I think people maybe just like the fact that I actually pay attention and listen to what they say. You know, like, if there's a common attitude towards a certain character or type of footage, or we want to see more of this or whatever, I kind of go out of my way to, like, answer that and respond to that. And I think that when you're watching pre-prepared media, which is what these mixtapes are, maybe that makes it feel a little less pre-prepared. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I always like new tape nights, because people in the chat are like, oh, I love this. I never know what the fuck you're going to show. And it really, like, it motivates me to make things sort of more extreme and a little bit weirder. Again, the whole expectations thing.
Yeah.
But no, the audience is a really big part of why things got more complicated. Because one, there was a group of people who week by week were paying attention to what I was doing, which is crazy. Yeah. Like, and talking about it in the Discord about, like, what they think something means, or where they think I got a piece of footage from, or, like, excuse me. But, and I've said this to a lot of friends of mine that are artists, right? Like, creative types and whatnot. I was like, you need to find a way to get a group of people or an audience or something that will make you make things. Like, making this be a Twitch stream was one of the smartest things I ever did, because I could have done this on YouTube. I could have done this just through, like, Patreon or something like that. Yeah. But because I have a schedule, I have to get off my fucking ass and make stuff.
100%. Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. So is Mary... Here's the thing. Here's all I want to ask. Here's why I had you on.
Oh yeah, sure. Is Mary totally still alive? I don't know.
No. Is Mary is Mary watching the videotape? Is she the one watching the tape throughout the whole stream? Is she the one sitting on her couch watching the stream?
I personally like to think so. That is what is happening.
That's what I like to think too. So I'm glad you said that.
There's a lot of things, though, that I think that have been reinterpreted, right? Like, here, I'll give one. Here's one, right?
Okay.
That I don't know if I've ever really spoken about it. It's not like it's a big deal, but there's in the sequence where Richard Harrison, is yelling ninja on the hillside.
Yes.
I used to do this edit where it's Stuart Smith and Richard Harrison yelling ninja, and then it cuts to a screen that says 10 years later. And then it has Harry running up a hill in a different sequence. And the way I put that edit together was that, okay, Harry and Stuart are on this hill. Clearly, Harry killed Stuart. And now 10 years later, Harry's the only one alive. That was why I thought that edit was funny. The audience interpreted that this dude was 10 years late to the meetup on the mountain. And so that's what that's become. And I have no control over that. Like, that's just what that's become.
Yeah. That works for me.
So, yeah, same thing with Hanuman. I never meant for him to be this, like, demonic, like, horrible individual.
He's scared. He's in my nightmares. He's horrendous. He's terrible. And I hope I never meet him, and I want to punch him in the face. But anyway... Do you remember, like, these episodes? Like, if I had asked you, like, what's episode 24? Like, do you know what that is?
Oh,
like,
of my tapes?
Yeah, of your tape.
Oh,
I'm sorry, your mixtapes. No.
Yeah, no. There's another one of my mods, Ern, and he...
Oh, right.
He is, like... I love the guy because he keeps track of when I show everything.
Yeah.
Like, he's an incredibly valuable asset to me because I don't replay things anymore. I don't accidentally reuse footage anymore because he has all these spreadsheets and GitHub things he sends me where he keeps track. And he's constantly trying to hunt down footage that I've not revealed. Like, he makes it like his job.
He's like the guy, they used to talk about a guy like that on X-Files. Where it was like, oh, we have a guy on X-Files that has like a binder of back, footage.
Oh, the Bible. Yeah,
the Bible, yeah. You have your own guy like that. That's amazing.
We need a guy.
Well,
hey.
And then I have people that like Avi, who goes out of his way to, like, is so knowledgeable about certain things, especially Japanese related stuff, that, like, anytime a pop song from another country shows up in my stream, he's able to give, like, oh, that's so-and-so Nakanari. And you might remember her songs from the intro to this tokusatsu show. And, like, we'll just, like, and I don't ask him to do that. This is just, like, he enjoys what I'm showing, and because he's a mod, I let him, like, go wild. Like, tell them all about Naoko Kawai and why this song is not actually called My Heart. And what other songs she did and all of that. I think that's, again, there's a lot of channels that I've found that just, like, show cool footage, but there's, like, no interaction and there's no context. And what makes it fun is, like, you walk away, like, learning about some of this stuff and maybe looking into, like, some of these directors or genres or what have you.
So I guess you're the only one out there that makes mixtapes like this, so to speak.
No, not at all.
No.
There's plenty of other people that do it. Yeah, there is, on YouTube, he has a name that sounds like a Sega Genesis game.
I was going to say, who the hell else does this other than you?
Everyone has different styles of how they do it.
Nice.
If you're familiar with the artist Vectroid, she's made mixtapes before.
You're talking VHS tapes?
No, but using compilation footage and found footage and things like that. I don't necessarily think that the format that they come on is necessarily like. I agree. I source exclusively from VHS, but that's because I'm looking for. I want all of the footage I use to have a sort of aesthetic consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And so if I take from all martial arts films made from the late 70s or into the mid 90s. I'm going to get a very consistent sort of look.
Sure.
I will say that a lot of mixtapes that people make, there's no concern about the consistency. It's more just sort of like, honestly, it's kind of like what YouTube poop became, if you really think about it. It's like weird combinations of footage to sort of create jokes or humor. Like Everything Is Terrible has mixtapes that are very quickly edited where, I'll say 2 words and it'll cut to the next person saying a word and then like a whole weird sentence is said.
Now let's segue to a boat.
Before we do let you go, the audience would be upset if I didn't get at least an estimation of how many tapes you got in that collection.
Oh, in my whole collection? Now, do you want like the whole collection or do you want what I call the good wall?
I want whatever number is just going to make people
goodness.
explode. They're going to be like, whoa, that's...
No, they're pretty aware. I've shown photos of when they really start to pile up. Because what I'll do is I'll buy huge lots, and then if I find like a good tape, it's worth it to me. And then I just have this I just stack them up against the wall in the basement. Tapes that I watch, use, and that are worth a damn. I don't know. At least 1,000, maybe 1,200.
Nice.
Holy shit.
That's a lot of tapes.
I can send you some photos that would alarm you.
Do it. I want to be alarmed.
Because they're just, you have to understand, these things are garbage. Like, no one cares. When I buy a box of 20 tapes because there's an IFD movie in there, or there's a Sammo Hung movie or a Sonny Chiba movie in there for some reason, I end up with, here, I'll read off what do I got on the wall now? We've got Camp Nowhere, The First Wives Club, Coneheads, The Virgin Suicides, Purple Rain, Cabin Fever, Dusk Till Dawn, Ed Wood, Shaft in Africa, Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Hell yeah.
3 copies of Dr. Giggles.
That might be too many.
It's just all the, and you can't sell this stuff. No one will buy this. It's just not interesting. I could sell an IFD movie for probably $30 or $40.
Oh.
So
I know that because I'm the sucker who's buying them too.
Yeah, it's the same way as buying as buying like
sports titles.
Yeah.
No, it's like it'd be like buying
titles for SNES games. Like you find a Demon's Crest in there or something like that. It's like okay, I'll buy that.
So what can you do? What you used to do is you could if you got that in like a Sega lot, you at least had the case. You could slip the artwork out of it, and you could put a good game in there now. Like, I find uses for these. When I do video projects where it's about video distortion, oh, you better believe I record over the First Wives Club. Like, I'm not using, like, a good, like, Polaroid or Panasonic tape for that. I'm going to record over some piece of shit and make it look real terrible.
Who is selling a Polaroid or...
Oh, no,
Nobody's
Polaroid...
selling those.
Oh, they're a great brand of blank VHS Polaroid.
I mean, yeah, but like nobody, you can't go to Best Buy and like freaking buy that shit.
I know a guy that
There's no
actually
way.
collects sealed blank VHS tapes.
Yes.
I don't know why he does
Yes, those are very popular, actually.
it. Yeah.
Especially the artwork on them. The artwork is pretty exceptional, honestly. Like, really abstract for what you're getting. You're just getting a blank tape.
I know. I never thought we'd make it to blank tapes on this podcast, but we did it. We went all the way to having no content on a tape.
My goodness.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, it was nice chatting with you all. And again, I appreciate all the kind words.
All right, everyone, that's been another Drunk Friend podcast. As always, you can reach out to us with questions or comments at drunkfriendpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. We'll respond or read it here eventually. Sorry we're slow. Please head over to polymedianetwork.com if you want to hear more podcasts like Tales of the Lesser Medium. We just had our new Half-Life series come out about a month ago. Petey's Power Hour if you want to learn more about alcohol. Polykill for more gaming talk. Indie Quest for indie games, and more.
And if you're not interested in sending us an email since it takes us like 3 months to get to them, that's no big deal. Just give us a rating and review on a podcast app of your choice, and that'll help us out.
You can find us all on social media. On Twitter, I'm at Trav Plays Games. Alex is, of course, at SNES Drunk. And you can find Mr. VCR at Forgotten VCR. And if you're interested, he will have his own VHS tape you can buy in April, so be sure to follow him on Twitter to learn more.
And as always, the music you heard at the beginning and you can hear right now was composed by our friend Coolor. The track you hear is called Electric Star Bounce. You can find more of his music on the Buzzsprout podcast page. And a shout out to Josh Leslie for our thirst-quenching logo.
Be sure to catch us all on YouTube or Twitch. And thanks for listening.
And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Cheers!